February 17th, 2022, Rutherford County Board of Commissioners meeting into session. If all of our guests would please stand, all of our commissioners please stand. I'd like to call on our chaplain, Commissioner Trey Gooch, to come forward. He will lead us in the pledge to the flag and then to pledge to the Tennessee flag. Commissioner Gooch, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let's go to our Father in prayer. Oh, Father, we love you and we praise your name, for we know that all good comes from you. And Father, we know that your apostle Matthew wrote that your son said that a kingdom divided against itself will become desolate, and that a city and a house divided against itself will not stand. It seems more and more we're seeing our country here become more and more divided. And so, Father, we know that you know that America represents freedom, liberty, and goodness throughout the world. So we would ask that you would fill the hearts and the minds of our leaders, our politicians, to bring kindness and civil discourse to the public debate, and not assume that if people disagree with them, that they're somehow racist or a Nazi or a terrorist. Father, tonight we would like to dedicate this prayer to a long-standing public servant in the public safety area of Rutherford County, Mr. Carl Hudson, who recently retired. And so, Father, we want him to know that we appreciate him, and that we would ask that you give him peace and prosperity and many, many, many more years to serve your kingdom here on earth. And Father, as always, we praise you for Jesus Christ, your Son and our Savior. We know that just through him we move and have our ever being, and it's through his name that we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
3 white stars on the field of blue. God keep them strong and ever true. It is with pride and love that we salute the flag of Tennessee.
I'd like to welcome all of our guests tonight. We'll get right into our calendar before us. Madam Clerk, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner David Gammon. Commissioner Piercy.
Here.
Commissioner Rather.
Here.
Commissioner P.
Here.
Commissioner Cook.
Here.
Commissioner Buchanan.
Here.
Commissioner Cush.
Present.
Commissioner Reed.
Here.
Commissioner Gurley. Commissioner Blair. Commissioner Allen.
Here.
Commissioner Stevens.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Virgil Gammon.
Here.
Commissioner Harris. Commissioner Dodd.
Here.
Commissioner Phillips.
Present.
Commissioner McAdoo. Commissioner Key.
Here.
Commissioner Gooch.
Here.
Commissioner Sereno.
Yeah.
We have a quorum, 20 present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now we'll conduct our business before the commission tonight. At this point in time, I'd like to call on Chairman Pro Tem, Commissioner Phillips, for reading and approval of the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The minutes that you have in front of you on your iPad, I've looked at those and I find them to be in order, and I move that we dispense with the reading and those minutes be adopted as presented. And they are our January 13th meeting minutes.
You have a motion and second from Commissioner Cook. Without objection, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Now it's time for our public comments. No public comments? Seeing none, we'll move into our elections and confirmations. Chairman Reed, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 1 deals with the election of our notaries. Commissioners, you'll find listings of these notaries on your iPad. Mr. Chairman, I move to confirm the election of these individuals as Rutherford County notaries.
Have a motion, we have a second. Any objection? Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Item 2, steering would like to announce 3 vacancies plus an alternate for the County Board of Equalization. Current terms to end April 2022. It's a 2-year terms to expire April 2024. Item 3, steering would like to confirm Jason Smith to the Public Building Authority, PBA, term to expire January 2028. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Have a motion, we have a second. Commissioner Cush, any questions? Without objection, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Item 4, steering wishes to confirm Tammy Chandler, farmwoman, to the Agricultural Advisory Board, term to expire December 2023. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Have a motion, have a second. Commissioner Sereno, any questions? Seeing none, without objection, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Item 5, steering would like to confirm John Marshall to the Conservation Board, term to expire February 2027. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Have a motion, have a second. Commissioner Blair, any questions? Without objection, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6, steering wishes to confirm Carl Hudgens as County Coroner, term to expire December 2023. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Have a motion, second. Commissioner Johnson, any questions? Without objection, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Item 7, steering would like to confirm Bishop Wagner to Central Tennessee Regional Solid Waste Planning Board. It's a 6-year term to expire January 31, 2028. I so move.
Second. Motion. Second. Commissioner Phillips. Commissioner Cush. Any questions? Without objection, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Item 8, steering wishes to confirm the reappointment of Grammy Coates to the Smyrna Rutherford County Airport Authority, Laverne representative. I so move.
Have a motion, and second. Commissioner Cook and others. Any questions? Without objection, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that's all the business of elections and confirmations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item H, members, resolution approval of consent agenda. Chairman Pro Tem Phillips, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor Ketron. We've had a request to remove item number 5, lease of property to the Rutherford County Veterans Community Center from the consent agenda, and I request that that be removed for further consideration.
Have a request to bump item number 5 off the consent agenda. After approval, we'll pick it up right after the consent agenda before we go into item I, unfinished business.
Very good. I looked at the consent agenda. I find all those items to be in order and move that the consent agenda be approved as recommended other than item number 5.
I have a motion, second from Commissioner Cush. Any questions? Second. Without objection, need to call the roll, Madam Clerk. You're on the board, members.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Madam Clerk, record the vote.
20 yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, members. So as previously requested by Chairman Pro Tem is to bump item number 5, which is the lease of property to the Rutherford County Veterans Community Center. And I think some of the commissioners wanted to have some discussion about this since it came through property management, it came through, I guess, budget, and now before you tonight. So what we're doing, gentlemen, as you know, maintenance moved off of Rice Street at their old location. Used to be the school board superintendent's office before they moved over to their current location. And they have moved into a larger facility on Haley Road. So we were approached, the county was approached to possibly lease, and that was recommended to the newly formed Rutherford County Veterans Community Center. I believe that they have received their EIN number from the state of Tennessee. So there are a little over 20 different veterans groups representing over 18,000 veterans in our community, and felt like that it was a good opportunity for the veterans to have some permanent place to go, because they've been hopping around from different place to place depending on what restaurant was open or facility was available. I had talked to Dominic, who is our county veterans coordinator, and took him over last week, and felt like that it would be a good move to bring Dominic over from where he currently is underneath the stairway, the mezzanine in the Goldstein's building. We'll bring him over into that building and give him 4 office spaces, and then the rest of the building will be available for $1 a year to all the veterans groups, but under the name of the Rutherford County Veterans Community Center. So this was on consent, and some people wanted to stand up and talk about it tonight. Commissioner Key, you had approached me about bumping as well. Would like to make some comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So usually it's sometimes it's somewhat negative when something gets bumped off the consent, but not tonight. It's a great opportunity for you to hear how hard these two gentlemen have been working here. Brian and John, I met with Brian, and I know he's met with several of you. And I'm just really impressed with the work that they've done. They put in for their nonprofit, they put in for the EIN, and I just want you to hear about what's going on. I know as a veteran, it's concerning to me that everything that pops up to help veterans, people get leery of it because, it's just another group. It's just another group, and they're so spread out. This unifies a team, and it's a team effort. And I think it's interesting that they're going to be able to use a facility that's going to be available to him, and so much with Dominic. He's done so much in that little space that he's provided. I've visited with him, and he's got boxes and handouts to veterans and things like that. And I don't say he works in there, but this will give him a chance to expand as well. So that was just the reasoning, and I just wanted to bring it up for discussion so we could meet these fine gentlemen.
Thank you, Commissioner. We do have a resolution. I was talking to our attorney. We have a resolution that was in the consent agenda, so I'd like to call on Chairman Pro Tem Phillips to come back up, and if you don't mind, it's a one-pager. I know you hadn't read it, but you can handle it. Sorry to spring this on you, but I think it'd be appropriate that we pass this resolution. I sign it by allowing them to lease this space for the next 30-year period for $1 a year.
Thank you. Resolution, whereas Rutherford County Veterans Community Center, RCVCC, a nonprofit corporation, has proposed to lease a portion of the building located at 439 Rice Street that previously housed the Rutherford County Maintenance Department building for the purpose of providing a centralized location for collaboration, outreach, and community education by local veteran service organizations in order to better serve the veterans of Rutherford County. And whereas the county desires to lease a portion of the building located at 439 Rice Street to the RCVCC for the purpose stated above, and whereas a portion of the building will house the Rutherford County Veterans Service Office, and whereas attached hereto as Exhibit 1 is a draft lease agreement with the RCVCC lease agreement, the contents which are incorporated herein at length verbatim, which among other things provides for a lease term of 30 years and an annual rent payment of $1 per year, as well as certain insurance and indemnification requirements, repair and maintenance provisions, allocation of utility costs, janitorial cost provisions, and other items. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that it hereby approves leasing a portion of the building located at 439 Rice Street to the RCVCC for the purpose stated herein for a lease term of 30 years with an annual rent payment of $1 per year, and further, it hereby approves the draft lease agreement attached hereto as Exhibit 1, and further, that the appropriate officials for Rutherford County, Tennessee shall be and hereby are authorized to execute the same for an agreement in substantially the same form containing necessary appropriate terms subject to the approval of the county attorney, county engineer, and the county building official. Resolved the 17th day of February 2022. Commissioner Key, would you like to make that motion? I second.
Have a motion and a second. Thank you, Commissioner Phillips. Anybody else like to speak? Commissioner Harris?
Mr. Chairman, one thing I want to echo Commissioner Key. I was invited to the Veteran of the Year dinner, and these guys hit me on all sides. I mean, they were, wanting to have this space, and after getting to know them and talking to them, it's not about space, it's about support. And these gentlemen want to offer their support, and we as commissioners, we need to approve this, and we need to let them know that we are behind our veterans and that we thank them for what they do and continue to support them.
Other comments from commissioners? Commissioner Sherino, you're recognized. I'll get you next. Sorry, I saw him first. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm so delighted to see, the veteran come here to the looking for the center. I normally attend the veteran meeting every Friday of the last month of each month for the last 2-3 years. I see the need they provide the services for the veteran very well. I'm so delighted and support it.
Thank you. Commissioner Gammon?
I just wanted to say, like Commissioner Key, I've heard a lot about this, and I've heard a lot of discussion from some different members. I myself being a veteran, and I believe, and Commissioner Johnson, I'm not sure. I tell you what I'd like to see is everybody that's a veteran stand up.
Well, I'd like to go further than that, and I'd like to, so the TV can see them. Would all the veterans, please, before we vote, please come up here and stand. How about that? All veterans, anybody that's a veteran in the facility, please come on up here and stand. What? So would anybody from the veterans group like to speak? Oh, come on, you're not bashful.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, thank you all very much for your support. My name is Brian Morris. I'm the post commander for VFW 4575. I'm part of the American Legion Post 141, and I'm the vice chairman of CommuniServe. Well, you've already heard the proposal, so I don't want to go through my whole proposal again. Just some data the mayor was saying. According to the Department of Veterans Affairs, we did a little more research after we presented this. There's over 20,000 veterans in Rutherford County, and that number is growing every year. So we get numbers from the VFW all the time about what they anticipate, and they anticipate around 25,000 veterans within the next 2 years. So this building will be a space where we could work together, where we can coordinate our activities and better serve the county as a whole. Thank you all very, very much for your support and your time. I wanted to do that. Tony Knox, Anthony Knox, I'm not sure if any of all of you know them. He wanted to be here today. He wasn't able to make it. He just got married recently for the 6th time, so he's a little busy right now.
Dominic.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dominic Grimaldi. I'm your County Veteran Service Officer and have been for the past 6.5 years. As a few people in here said, I've got a tiny office half filled with donations, especially with COVID. There's nowhere to take them. But I want you to think about something, and these are verifiable statistics. According to the Veterans Administration, there are 20,648 veterans in Rutherford County who are receiving VA benefits, which means there's more than 20,000 in the county, because half the veterans I've seen have never filed a claim. They bring $248 million to this county every year, and I just would like you all to consider that.
Well, I've got a motion on the floor, so before you sit down, I've got a motion and a second. Ready to call the vote. All those in favor, without objection, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, gentlemen. Yes, sir. So we're going to suggest property management. I'll be coming to property management and asking for a little bit of money we might have left over in Gov 20. Bill? Oh, so he's already paid 5 years worth of rent, right? Chairman?
I had to put up some collateral with my wife for that.
Well, so I think they're going to plan a paint day, and you know it's been a maintenance building, so we need to do a little TLC over there. But I think it's going to be a wonderful opportunity for all of our veterans to have some permanent place to go in Rutherford County. So, thank you, commissioners, for allowing this to be done. Okay, we'll move on. There's no unfinished business at this point in time. We've got about 5 minutes to our public hearing. So I'll try to kill a little bit of time. I will. What I was going to say a minute ago, that I think we found a little bit of money left in our Gov 20 or 21. We'll come to property management and request that some of that be allocated to help freshen up cosmetically inside that building, a little bit of new carpet and some ceiling tiles it might need, and some flooring for that maintenance building, and I think that'd be an appropriate way to spend some of that money. And they want to have a paint day and get their veterans to come over and paint some walls, and so anybody that likes to help paint, we'll let everybody know when that's going to happen. And does anybody have any unfinished business they want to talk about before we get into our public hearing? We've got 3 minutes. Tell us about this weekend.
I'm going to save us some time at the end of the meeting and go ahead and announce that Kittrell is having a country ham breakfast Saturday from 6 to 10, and all of y'all are invited out.
Yes, and it is election year, so come early. There may not be any ham because they ran out of ham in Laverne last weekend with so many politicians coming to eat the country ham. Yeah. Did you take some to Don? I'm showing.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Reed.
Since we have all the commissioners looking this direction, I just want to say thank you to those of you that come out for the groundbreaking for the public health and
on
safety
that cold
building.
day.
On that cold day, but it was a lot of warm feelings out there for what we're trying to do with here in the county. And if you'll come back out there down Highway 99, you will not recognize that spot, because the past 2 days out there, they have already leveled the area where the building's going to be built. There's already gravel down for the pad, and it's amazing what they've done there. I was out there yesterday talking to the contractor and those that are working that area, and they said that was some really good ground. And believe it or not, that's in Rockville, and they haven't hit a rock. So I think we found the best ground in the whole area out there to build this. So it's really looking good. And I just want to say thank you to the coaches of Eagleville and Rockville out there, the football teams. Each one of those coaches brought me the emblems from their helmets to put on my helmet to go out there. So we're representing both of those communities that will be using that facility out there. So I just think it's the community is really recognizing, and I believe it's the first week in March that we're going to have another one of these for the Kittrell building. So I'd like to see everybody out there for that one. And Commissioner P., I guess you're promising a very warm day for yours out there.
Still got about 3 minutes for our public hearing to be announced. I was going to bring this up in other business at the end of the agenda, but I'll go ahead and get that out of the way so we can leave a little bit early. But members, you all know this is a political time of year, and everybody's running. But there were I got several phone calls from employees, from commissioners, about rumors being spread on social media that the county commission was going to get rid of all insurance benefits for the employees. That is not true. That is not true. Let me say that for everybody watching. That is not true. It's a rumor of why somebody would something so serious as doing away with insurance benefits, and why people want to be that vicious and say something that would disturb people, because that's one thing, especially if you have an illness or you have daily prescriptions that you take, to be that cold and spread that kind of rumor. Just push back. It's not true. So you're going to see more and more of that. We all have, most of us, I think everybody in there's got competition, except one or two. I think that back row back there lucked out, a couple of them. But so we keep it clean. This is a great county, and give everybody an opportunity to express their opinions, but don't believe lies, okay? That's a good point. Our finance director says federal law requires us to have insurance for our employees. So anybody wants to press that, continue to push that rumor, we'll just call the sheriff and let him go talk to him, okay? Okay. 30 more seconds. I think we'll be all right. Mr. Demasi, why don't you make your way on up this way?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. Before I get into my rezoning requests, I will make just a quick announcement that I was going to do at the end, but just so I don't forget. You've probably seen the press release about the public kickoff for the comprehensive plan update process will be on March 1st. Be at 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. over at the Lane Agri Park in the Farmers Market building. I think it's called the Community Center. I just want to make sure that you've all seen that, invite you all to be out there. It's going to be a little bit of time of some presentations, but then a lot of different stations to go to get a lot of feedback from the public. So that's really what the 5:30 to 7:30 on March the 1st. You'll all be getting, if you haven't already, you'll all be getting emails about it. So just watch your emails on that. So I just wanted to make that announcement real quick. One other thing before getting into the public hearings, we do have 2 for you tonight. There was 3 considered at last month's Planning Commission meeting. The third one was actually recommended for denial by the Planning Commission. That was on Couchville Pike. That one was subsequently withdrawn by the applicant. I did receive a few phone calls about that at the office. I made sure that people knew that it was withdrawn and told them to spread the word as best they could. In the event somebody was here for that public hearing, I just wanted to let them know that that application has been withdrawn. It will no longer be considered. So with that, I will go ahead and jump into the 2 zoning requests that we do have tonight. The first is by Mr. Hunter Brothers, located along Burnt Knob Road, zoned currently residential medium density, and they are proposing a zoning of light industrial on about 3.5 acres of land. The applicant states in the information that he presented that he runs a local family-owned company specializing in large commercial concrete and demolition projects in the Middle Tennessee area. Most of his company's work is found in Rutherford County, so he's looking for a more local location to build his warehouse for storage of business equipment, along with an area for storage of concrete forms and other supplies. Concept plan is included with your agenda materials. They are proposing about an 8,000 square foot building, along with an access drive and storage area behind the building. Building setbacks in the light industrial are 50 feet on the front and 20 feet for both the side and rear property lines. We did inform the applicant that the concept plan that they had submitted didn't show the setbacks accurately. Just so you know, this is a concept plan. This is not a full-blown site plan, so this was really more for just display purposes more than anything, but the applicant is aware of that. Access would be along Burnt Knob Road. The number of required parking spots, parking lot designs, et cetera, would be determined by the requirements of the zoning ordinance, as would landscape screening, which would require a Type 3 buffer, and our performance standards would be applicable as well. The Planning Commission did have some questions for the applicant about their business operations, such as the number of employees, trips in and out per day, et cetera. The applicant stated they have about 5 trips in and out per day each morning. The largest vehicle they have is a single axle dump truck, so maximum traffic on any given day would be about 20 cars or vehicles. Hours of operations are primarily Monday through Friday, with only some activity on Saturday. After this discussion and the public hearing, the Planning Commission did recommend approval by a unanimous vote. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Tomasi? Seeing none, then I'll call the Rutherford County Commission meeting into recess to hold our public hearing on this request. Our public hearing is now in session. Anyone desiring to speak for or against the issue, please come forward. State your name, your address, and if you're for or against the proposed request. Seeing none, no one coming forward, I declare the public hearing closed by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners, and we are back in session. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Gurley.
I've talked with the applicant. I'm convinced that this will blend into the existing zoning in the area. It'll have minimal impact on traffic. I move to approve.
Have a motion by Commissioner Gurley. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Blair. Any further discussion? If you would, members will be on the board. Please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Madam Clerk, record the vote.
19 yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Tomasi.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Our second request tonight is by Mr. Chris Oliver for OW Holdings Incorporated, located along Leanna Central Valley Road. Its existing zoning is also residential medium density, RM, and they are asking for commercial services zoning. The size of the property is about 8 acres. They're only asking for 1 acre approximately to be rezoned. The applicant actually owns the adjacent business to this property, which is a mini warehouse facility. This was zoned back in 2015 to commercial services. The additional land will be used at first for construction access to Phase 2 of the existing self-storage facility, which was approved by the Planning Commission at their February 22nd, 2021 meeting. There is a concept plan that has been included with your agenda materials. Self-storage mini warehouse type uses are allowed in commercial services, but they're only allowed by what's called a special exception. They have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals, so it is not a use by right. The applicant is aware of that. So before we would see any site plan at the Planning Commission, they would have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals after getting zoning approval on the property. The concept plan does show internal access to the existing self-storage facility, as well as a second access point to Leanna Central Valley Road. Again, like we discussed in the last application, a number of the required parking spots, design, et cetera, would all be determined by the requirements of the zoning ordinance and demonstrated on an engineered site plan should this application be approved. Again, the same holds true with zoning, landscaping on the property and screening, and also our performance standards. There was very little discussion on this item at the Planning Commission's meeting. After the public hearing, the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this by a unanimous vote. Staff feels, and I believe the Planning Commission agreed, that eventually the rest of this property will be zoned commercial in time. So this is in character with what's around the area right now. So again, with that, we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. DeMasi? Seeing none, I'll call the Rutherford County meeting into recess to hold a public hearing on the request. Our public hearing is now in session. Anyone desiring to speak for or against the issue, please come forward, state your name, your address, and if you're for or against the proposed request. Seeing no one coming forward, to declare the public hearing closed and Rutherford County Board of Commissioners back into session. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve. I met with Chris Oliver. That property will be commercial unless you want to live next door to a Dollar General, because there's a Dollar General on the other side. But my understanding from Mr. Oliver is the place was full, and there's such a need out there that they wanted to acquire this other acre. And as usual, I always bring up water, and the Planning Commission, I'm sure, vetted that and talked about it, and Doug and his group. So, again, I move to approve it.
Have a motion and a second. Commissioner Piercy. Any further discussion? Members will be on the board. Please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Madam Clerk, record the vote.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. DeMasi. Next, we'll move on to agenda. On the agenda, item K, reports from standing committees. Our first report tonight is our Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee. Chairman P.
Good evening. The first item on our agenda is item K1A, and this is to move some money to our convenience centers where it's an additional cost for engineering has come up. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the Solid Waste Fund be amended as follows. Increase expenditures of other funds, $91,750, and a decrease of assigned fund balance of $91,750. Resolved the 17th day of February 2022. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
I have a motion as a second. Commissioner Piercy. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll be on the board. Please cast your vote, members.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote, Madam Clerk.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, our next item is K1A. The first change has to do with premium pay. We actually inadvertently skipped someone. They didn't get their bonus, so we're taking care of that. And then the second part of this is a capital purchase of a tractor that they're using to mow the highways. Resolution, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the highway fund be amended as follows: for premium pay increase $1,975, Social Security $123, pensions $201, employee Medicare $29, and a decrease in fund balance of $2,328. Under the capital outlay, which is for purchasing this tractor and with a boom arm, increased expenditures for highway equipment, $153,650, and a decrease of fund balance of $153,650, resolved this 17th day of February 2022. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Have a motion. Is there a second? Commissioner Johnson on the second. Any further discussion? You're on the board. Please cast your vote, members.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote, Madam Clerk.
yes.
Motion carries.
The next item is K1C, and this has to do with a Homeland Security grant, which we basically see every year. Resolution, whereas Rutherford County has received a grant from the State of Tennessee Department of Military, Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, in the amount of $114,737 for the 2021 Homeland Security Grant Program for the provision of pass-through funding provided by the United States Department of Homeland Security. And whereas the grant is 100% federally funded and is effective for the period beginning September 1st, 2021 and ending on April 30th, 2024. Therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the county mayor and other appropriate officials of Rutherford County, Tennessee be and are hereby authorized to execute a grant contract with the State of Tennessee Department of Military, Tennessee Emergency Management Agency. A copy of the same being attached hereto is Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein by reference as if set forth herein at length verbatim, to accept the 2021 Homeland Security Grant in the amount of $114,737, and additionally that the general fund be amended as follows to recognize the grant revenues and appropriate said proceeds. Disaster relief, increase revenue from the Homeland Security Grant of $114,737 and an increased expenditures of HML other Homeland Security equipment of $114,737. Resolved this 17th day of February 2022. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Have a motion. Is there a second? I have a second. Commissioner Serino. Any further discussion? Be voting on the board. Members, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record a vote, Madam Clerk.
yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, our next item is item K1D, and I'll give you a short explanation, and unfortunately I have to read this, but basically whenever we are receiving grant funds, at least high-dollar grant funds as we have been getting from the federal government, sometimes their payments are not in time for us to make payments, and we would come up with a deficit. As you know, in the past, we have agreed to put up to $2 million toward these funds in case there was an overlap where we weren't getting paid in time, because by our own financial rules and the school board's rules, we cannot run a deficit. So basically what this is doing is asking to up that to $3 million instead of $2 million. Now these funds are basically paid back as soon as the transfers are made from the people that are supplying the grant. Having said that, I'll go ahead and read this. Resolution for temporary transfer of funds from the General Purpose School Fund to the Federal Projects Fund for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022, 23, and 24. Whereas the federal projects grant operate on a reimbursement basis and funds are requested from the state of Tennessee by Rutherford County School Systems after the authorized purchase has been made. Whereas in a previous year, the Rutherford County Board of Education and Rutherford County Commission approved a transfer of a total of $2 million of local funds from the General Purpose School Fund to the Federal Project Fund to prevent a cash deficit at various times due to slow turnaround time for the reimbursements from the state of Tennessee. Whereas Rutherford County Schools has been approved for Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund, ESSER 2, and federal funding for over $19,491,000, as well as over $43,774,000 from the ESSER 2 grant fund program, with these grant funds being drawn down in the Rutherford County School Federal Project Fund. Whereas adequate cash flow for the ESSER 1 and ESSER 2 projects will be needed to ensure the timely payments of vendors, and the Rutherford County school system does not desire to operate any fund with a cash deficit. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Education in a regular called meeting on this 27th day of January 2022 that Section 1, the General Purpose School Fund shall be authorized to temporarily transfer up to an additional $3 million to the School Federal Projects Program upon approval by the Rutherford County Board of Education and the Rutherford County Commission. Section 2, up to an additional $3 million will be transferred to the federal funds project only in the instances where additional cash flow for large expenditures is needed until the drawdown of federal funds is realized. At the time of the receipt of that drawdown of federal funds is realized for the large expenditures and the transfer funds are no longer needed for cash flow purposes in the federal projects fund, then the amount of these additional temporary transfers fund will be returned back to the general purpose school fund balance. Section 3, this resolution will take effect upon the passage of both the Rutherford County Board of Education and the Rutherford County Commission, adopted this 27th day of January 2022 by the Rutherford County Board of Education, and adopted this 17th day of February 2022 by the Rutherford County Commission. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
I have a motion. Is there a second? I have a second. Commissioner Allen. Any questions? You'll be on the board, members. Please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change their vote, you may do so now.
Board to vote, Madam Clerk.
20 yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, our next item is K1E, and this is actually a resolution getting money from the CARES Act grant for our health department, and this has to do with an awning in the Smyrna facility. Whereas the Rutherford County Health Department received a CARES Act grant through the Tennessee Department of Health, and whereas a grant funding in the amount of $75,000 with no match required for the grant. And whereas this grant period is March 15, 2022 through March 31st, 2023, and whereas the grant will be used to purchase and install an awning for the Smyrna, Tennessee location of the Rutherford County Health Department. Therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the county mayor and all other required officials of Rutherford County, Tennessee be and are hereby authorized to execute a grant contract with the Tennessee Department of Health, and a copy of the same being attached hereto Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein by reference as if set forth herein at length verbatim, for the CARES Act grant to purchase and install an awning for the Smyrna, Tennessee location of the Rutherford County Health Department, and further that the general fund be amended as follows to recognize the grant revenues and appropriate the funds. Increase revenues from other federals through the state, $75,000, and increase expenditures for building improvements of $75,000. Resolved this 17th day of February 2022. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Commissioner Allen. Any discussion? Seeing none, you'll be on the board. Members, please cast your vote. Cook. Oh.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote, Madam Clerk.
20 yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, item K1F, and just a little background on this. You are, of course, aware of the rental assistant grants that we have received. And this has actually got to do with the third tranche, and we'll actually have a motion on that amount later. But Horne LLC has been helping us with this project, and this amount that reflects here is their part of this payment of this $12 million. Whereas the Rutherford County entered into a contract effective February 12, 2021 for the Horne LLP for the provision of consulting and program administration for the U.S. Department of Treasury Emergency Rental Assistance Program, ERA-1 funds. Excuse me. And whereas Rutherford County amended the aforementioned contract with Horne LLP in October 2021 to provide consulting and program administration for the U.S. Department of Treasury Emergency Rental Assistance Programs, ERA-2 funds, and whereas Rutherford County desires to amend the aforementioned contract with Horne LLP a second time to provide consulting and program administration for U.S. Department of Treasury Emergency Rental Assistance Programs, ERA-1, reallocated funds. Therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the county mayor and all other appropriate officials of Rutherford County, Tennessee, be and are hereby authorized to execute Amendment 2 to the February 12, 2021 contract with Horne LLP. A copy of the same being attached hereto is Exhibit A and incorporated herein by reference as if set forth herein at length verbatim, for the provision of consulting and program administration for the U.S. Department of Treasury Emergency Rental Assistance Program, ERA-1, reallocated funds. And further, that the general fund be amended as follows to recognize revenue for the program and appropriates funds for said amendment. And increase revenues of the COVID-19 era, ERA-1, $1,222,100. Increase expenditures of other contracted services, $1,222,100. Resolved the 7th day of February 2022. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
I have a motion. Is there a second? I have a second. Commissioner Buchanan. Any questions or discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner
Was
Key?
this the program that allowed 10% for the administrative fees? Is that why this number is the
Yes,
1,200,000? Okay.
That is correct.
It just looked like an odd amount, so that's what I was asking. Thank you.
Other questions or discussion? Seeing none, be on the board. Members, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change their vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote, Madam Clerk.
20 yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, next item is K1G, and fortunately, I'm not going to have to read this one. This is for a presentation only, and we don't need to take any actions, but basically what this is showing the physical strength of the county. The next page that you've got down will actually show the statement of our cash flow analysis, and then in the rear, you will also find a copy of our debt management policies. Anyway, that's just for your attention. Next item, K1H, is actually the funds we were talking about earlier, our part of the $12 million that will be allocated for rentals help. Resolution, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the general fund be amended as follows: emergency rental assistance, $10,998,900. Increased expenditures of rentals, $10,998,900. Resolved this 17th day of February 2022. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Commissioner Phillips, any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll be on the board. Members, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote, Madam Clerk.
20 yes.
Motion passes.
That concludes our business, Mr. Chairman.
You need some water? I think you've read more tonight than in quite a while. Good job, Chairman. All right, members, item number, that takes us down to our health and education report. Chairman Allen? No, Chairman Allen?
Thank you. I just do have one thing I want to add. When we sent out the agenda, we did not have the resolutions, anything from the Board of Education. We will be reviewing the 5-year plan, the 5-year building plan, so if anybody wants to come and sit in on that, it'll be worthwhile.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Property management, Chairman McAdoo, no report. Public safety, Chairman Reed. You're recognized.
Commissioners, I want to bring you, I guess I want to take you back to August, I guess, if we have to go back that far. This is concerning broadband in Rutherford County. If you remember back in August, we come before you asking about permission to go partners with Middle Tennessee Electric and United as far as supporting them and helping write a grant for broadband in Rutherford County. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $8 million is what that grant would have been. And it was through the NTIA, which would have been a federal grant. It was supposed to have been awarded in November, but pretty much like a lot of things within the federal government, it's somewhat slow. And it has not been awarded yet, and we're still sitting here waiting for that grant to be presented. And what we have found over the past few days is that if that grant is awarded, it would pretty much take care of broadband as far as the rural area is concerned for Rutherford County, which is something we've tried and tried and tried for the past several years to do. In the meantime, I know you've heard the governor talk about the situation as far as the Tennessee ECT broadband grant, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 million. And we are hearing from United and Middle Tennessee Electric that they would also like to apply for that grant, and they are already applying for that in several other counties to see what they can get there. The only thing is, as a county, we cannot receive 2 federal grants. In other words, that's called, to put it down into farm terms, that's called double dipping, folks. And you can't get two of those grants. So we're sitting here waiting for the NTIA, and the thing is, the Tennessee ECD broadband grant through the governor's program, the deadline on applying for that is March 15th. So we're sort of stuck in a situation here. Do we also apply for that grant too, just in case we don't get this other one? And then in case that we get the other one comes through, we just say, well, we'll not accept this one. So I guess what I'm here tonight about is that we're wanting to go along with them to work as a partner also on the governor's grant, or the $500 million Tennessee ECT grant, broadband. The only thing with that, you have to partner with them, is that you have to provide money within that or serve as a supporting partner. The state is awarding those grants based upon how counties will also work with those grants. In other words, what percentage they are willing to serve as a partner on those. What we are understanding from United and Middle Tennessee Electric on that is what we can do in that to get enough of that grant to help, I guess you'd say, give 100% fiber in the rural areas in Rutherford County, and to work up this situation that we have as far as broadband is concerned in Rutherford County, is that what our percentage would be a 15% match on what they are applying for, which means we're talking about $1,500,000 is what our match would be on that, and we would finally, within Rutherford County, take care of broadband once and for all in this county as far as rural is concerned. Where those funds would come from in that match, if we decided to do that, would be coming from, I guess, our ARPA funds or the CARE grant money. And the way this works with that grant and the way it is operating through the Tennessee program right there, this is a reimbursement grant. In other words, the companies have to go and start doing the service. They have to go in there and run the lines, and then they send in their billing saying this is how much we've done. This is what we've done in our grant, and that's how the grant is paid. So in other words, we're not paying all of this at one time. It's over a period of time beginning in the latter part of this year going into 23. So that gives us time for those funds that we've been talking about that's going to be coming, I think somewhere around June or whatever, they would be here so that we could start paying on this and working this way with them. But like I said, if the other grant comes in, this would be null. We couldn't be doing this. What we're trying to do, I guess, is cover the situation where either way that we get this, we would be taking care of broadband in Rutherford County. And this is, like I said, just come up in the last few days. Our applications would have to go in by March 15th in what we're talking about doing here. And this is primarily what we're presenting. I know Cumberland County is doing this. I think theirs is a 20% match. They've already drafted their resolution. It means we would have to draft a resolution in support, send it to the state. There are other things we would have to do. I think there are letters that we would have to draft showing our support to the grant and to the program. We've done this before. I think just about every one of you have sent a letter in support of broadband for Rutherford County. We did that at the very beginning of this. It worked very well out in the western part of Eagleville. We pretty much now have that area out there in fairly good shape. In fact, they have built as far as they can go with the grant money that's been done out there. They're wanting to complete that. They've also got areas up towards Laverne, I believe, and Smyrna, I think they've talked about. I think there's areas out towards Commissioner Pease area that they're trying to get in that area too. So this is what has been sent to us. This is what has been presented to us. So I guess tonight what I'm looking for is a motion to allow us to go ahead with this. I think that's correct, isn't it, Mayor, in what they're asking?
You are correct, Chairman. I think we're covering both bases. It's my understanding in talking to Senator Blackburn's office, we are the only county that has applied for the through the Department of Commerce, the NTIA grant. So I think we need to cover both bases, and by your, I'll entertain a motion if you want to make that motion to move forward on that. Commissioner Gurley, do you yield? Commissioner Reed?
I can ask to discuss it after our motion or before, either one.
Well, let's get it properly before us. Commissioner Reed?
I would say in a motion, primarily what we're wanting to do is to approve for Rutherford County's commission to allocate a maximum of 15% match and an aggregate amount not to exceed $1,500,000 in co-funding with the providers to award the Tennessee ECD grants to construct a 100% fiber optic network in Rutherford County.
And would you be willing to add on to that motion, whichever one we get notified of first?
Whichever grant we're notified of first.
Okay.
Second.
Got a second on the motion. Now discussion. Commissioner Gurley?
Yes. Where is the money coming from to match this?
ARP.
And we've researched that as to the legality of matching federal funds with state funds?
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
That's
broadband.
one
Okay.
of those. Mm-hmm.
So we're good as far as using CARES Act money to match the ECD money?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, we have a motion. Let's go on the board since we'll be proposing to spend money. So members, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote, Madam Clerk.
20 yes.
Motion passes. Next is item number 5 on your agenda, Public Works Planning Commission, Chairman Cush. A short resolution.
I can draw it out really long if you'd like. Good evening, fellow commissioners. If you will look at your iPad, we have 2 items under that folder. One is a resolution and one is Exhibit A. The 2 items in Exhibit A are basically the same items written by 2 different people, but the verbiage is the same. I want to thank these 2 people, and I want you to thank these 2 people by showing a vote of yes on endorsing this resolution. Whereas House Bill 1842, which is Brian Terry's bill, and Senate Bill 2121, which is Don White's bill, copies of which are attached in Exhibit A, and incorporated herein by reference as if set forth herein verbatim, proposed to amend Tennessee Code Annotated Title 68, Chapter 211, Part 7, to add a new section providing that, here's the good part, operators of a Class 1 landfill be required to submit with an application for a major modification or to expand the landfill a letter of support from the mayor or legislative body of each local government that would be impacted by such modification or expansion. And whereas the Board of Commissioners believes that it is in the best interest of the citizens of Rutherford County that operators of Class 1 landfills that impact Rutherford County be required to obtain support from the county mayor and or Board of Commissioners in connection with any major modification expansion of proposed by House Bill 1840 and Senate Bill 2121. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that this body does hereby show our support for House Bill 1842 and Senate Bill 2121. Be it further resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that it respectfully requests the Rutherford County Legislative Delegation to co-sponsor House Bill 1842 and Senate Bill 2121, or otherwise vote to approve the same. Be it further resolved that the county clerk shall send copies of this resolution to the members of the General Assembly representing Rutherford County, resolved this 17th day of February 2022. That is my recommendation. I so move.
We have a motion. We have a second. Commissioner Blair, Commissioner P., others. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Commissioner Gerling.
Yes, correct me if I'm wrong, but similar legislation already applies to new landfills and so on going forward. I believe this was passed a few years ago. Am I correct on that? But the existing landfills, such as Middle Point, were excluded. So we're going back and just trying to kind of include what wasn't included some 10 or 12 years ago.
Yes, sir, and that is correct.
We're going to the Wayback Machine, as they would say, back to January of 1989.
Right.
When the Jackson Law was passed. Other discussion? Seeing none, let's be on the board. Members, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote, Madam Clerk.
20 yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, Chairman Cush. Steering Legislative Government Committee, no report. Before we go into executive session, I'm going to make one announcement, so we won't have to worry about that when we come back, that our countywide meal packing event is scheduled for Saturday. It'll be week after this coming Saturday at Lane Agra, starting at around 8 o'clock. We've upped the number of meals. Every meal that we pack will feed a family of 6. We're going to be packing in about 2.5 hours, 65,000 meals that will be distributed to all our not-for-profits who have groups like Greenhouse Ministries, Salvation Army, etc. So it's a fun time. Come out and spend a few hours in the morning and pack some meals. You feel good when you walk away. It's a good thing to help. So put that on your calendar. Make sure you show up Saturday the 26th, Lane Agra. So members, yes, sir. 8 o'clock. Yes, sir. 8 a.m. So now it's time that we move into executive session. We need to talk with our legal department. So we'd like to excuse everybody from the courtroom except for members at this point in time, and our attorneys. Mr. Sandler, make sure everybody exits the chamber, and we will go into executive session. All right, members, we'll come back in session. We'll come out of executive session. Our clerk is back in. We are out of, I think we've addressed any other business. Is there any other business statements or announcements to come before us? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Oh, come on. Got a motion to adjourn. We'll stand adjourned.